You ever get to that point when your life, you're driving along, everything's fine, and then you get to that fork in the road to where, which way do I go now? I don't even have all the facts. What do I do? Should I just stand here and get stagnant? Or should I choose the best route to take? Join me today as we talk about the fork in the road, episode number 42 of the Surging Forward podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward broadcast, where we're helping you to have a positive view in a negative world. My name is David Valentine, and I'm here to help you see the value in the job you do and how you can keep surging forward. Hello, this is Dave Ballantyne again for the Surging Forward podcast. I want to welcome you back, and this is now we're on episode, what is this, 42 now. So again, this has been one of those. I'm kind of be laid back on this podcast. This has been one of those rough weeks, and so I just wanted to share my week with you as we go on to talk about some of the things that may affect you. And so this is what I like to do is kind of share some real life circumstances. We all come to these points in our road, just as you saw in the introduction, where we come to a fork in the road. And what do we do when we hit those forks in the road? What do you do? How do we make those decisions? You see, change is something that none of us like to deal with. And so that's what we're talking about this time, change. In order for you to be successful and you continue to keep surging forward, and it's something I talk about all the time, there's going to be change. And I have to admit, none of us really like to deal with change. I know as much as I talk about things and stuff like that, I know I don't. It's a tough deal because you kind of get used to the status quo and, you walk along and, things are good. But, if you're not consistently changing, that good is going to continually start sliding down to where all of a sudden now you're in the bottom of the valley and don't even realize it. So change is something that is an inevitable thing that's going to happen in your career. So let's look at this. I'm going to talk about three things right here. Okay? Let's talk about some of the three things that happen when change happens. The first thing that happens with change is that right away we talk about the negativity. All right? Oh, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to like this. I like things the way they are. Well, probably what we should do is say, okay, evaluate it from a real point of view and say, hey, okay, this is what's going to help me grow. And look over and say, okay, here's the pros and here's the cons. And some of the stuff you're really not even going to know yet because, now we're looking into the future. All right. So the first thing you want to do is not be negative. Don't just look at all the negative things that are going to happen in the change. And what's happening with my life right now, and just to kind of go over that, we're going over a change of what I like to call command or change of the guard. One of our bosses has decided to move on, and it's actually a great career thing for him. But a lot of us were kind of like, oh no, wow, who's going to be coming in? This is going to change. That's going to change. And right away, we got real kind of bummed out. Yes, we're sorry to see him leave, but we also have to say, hey, he's going on to better his career. And so we have to always look at that. And it's the same thing when you're a boss. When you have an employee, you might have an employee who is, looking at going to another job. And he might be one of your most valuable guys. Maybe it happens you can't afford to pay him exactly what he wants, even though you'd like to keep him. but you can't hold them back. You never want to hold anybody back. You always want to give them that encouragement. So don't be negative on change. That's the first thing we want to think about. All right? Because if you're negative about it, you're never going to allow change to happen. And if change doesn't happen, you're going to get stagnant. Take a look at the way the water goes out in the ocean there. When you see water out in the ocean, it's constantly moving, it's in turmoil, it's changing, and different waves and all of that. When you take a look at water and you go to a body of water, say, for example, over the Dead Sea, for example, overseas, that water is very stagnant. Nothing lives in there because the water has just become so saltified and it's so stagnant that no living life can live inside the Dead Sea. That's why they call it the Dead Sea. So we always have turbulence in our lives. Okay, so the second thing I want to talk about is look at your options. This is the opportunity for you to say, okay, what do I need to do to go to that next level? And so what has happened out of this transition, we've all gotten different job descriptions and so forth. And you know what? You might not be getting paid for that particular job description right now, but that's okay. Because, guys, it's not always about the monetary things that we get. All right? I don't get paid to do the podcast out here. At this point in the game, I don't ask for any money. I don't ask for anything. You know, sometimes all I ask for is for you to give me a review. And sometimes those are few and far between. I got to be honest. And I'd love to get your questions and reviews, but that's not what drives me. What drives me is the one or two that comes to me and says, hey, thanks, Dave. And it's that gratitude that, you know, they're thankful for, that I'm able to help somebody else along in their career. So who are you able to help? What difference are you going to make in the company you work for? Maybe you're going to make a difference in your own company because you're going to make certain changes. We all need to, we shouldn't just want to. We need to constantly be challenged. If you're not challenged, it goes back to the other thing that I talked about. You're going to end up being in the Dead Sea. Nothing changes. If you get to that point in life where you say you've arrived and I've got it made and I don't have to do anything else, I have plenty of money, plenty of things, and I don't want anything else. Well, what's going to happen over time? The first thing that's going to happen, you're going to get bored. The second thing that's going to happen is that eventually you're going to lose that status. You're going to lose that money because you're not growing. You're not learning anymore. You don't have the value. See, we all need to have a value in our life, and that value is created. That's where depression sets in because you don't feel like you're valuable. I know a lot of guys who have gone out to retire, and it's tough because they have nothing to do. They have no challenges. So they just veg out and go watch TV all night long. And I'll just sit there in front of the screen and go, you know, and just kind of staring at it. Well, what does that do for your life? What does that challenge you? You got people that stay home and don't do anything all day long. And then you become a person who all you do is complain because nothing's ever good enough. Well, you have to make that choice to step out and take the challenge. Learn new things, whatever it may be. Whether it helps your tradesman career, you're working in an insurance company, whatever career you're working in, take the challenge and make some of those changes. So the second item I want to talk about is accept the challenge. That's what we just talked about. That's the second step. Accept the challenge. Okay? The first one was don't be negative. The second one is accept the challenge. Okay? The third one is to remain positive and accept the success that's going to be coming tomorrow. Accept the success. Because change provides us an opportunity to be able to succeed. You see, that's the exciting part about change. If you never change, you never get to that next level. I mean, I use the analogy also. It's like, how many of you guys out there know how to ride a bicycle? All right, that's something that we learn. Not everybody does, mind you, because I've met people that do not know how to ride a bike that are in their 40s and 50s, They have no idea. They get on the bike and they fall over and they're struggling with it. But once you learn that trade, once you learn that skill of how to ride a bike, what happens? You never forget it. You can hop on one, you pick it back up real quick. But if you're constantly being negative in step number one, and if you don't accept the challenge, as in step number two, you're never going to be able to move forward and succeed because you're not going to be learning the new thing. It's amazing how all of this ties together when we're surging forward. And I like to use that analogy. I thought of surging forward. I've had the surging forward name. I started the company probably about 5 or 10 years ago, or actually not that long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, trying to do the online courses and help tradesmen because I saw that there was a gap in training. And so I started out with the online courses, of course, with electrical. And then I graduated forward. I do HVAC and the plumbing courses to help tradesmen to be able to excel in their career. Now, some just want the down and dirty, real fast. Just give it to me slick and fast, and I just move on. I really don't need the training. Well, those guys are staying at the status quo. Some people have come to me and said, wow, great program. They spend, it's a 3-hour course. I've had some people spend a lot more than 3 hours on my course, and they go back and they keep reviewing things. And they say, wow, I just get so much out of this. The code, even though, I don't, sit there and study it, it helps me on my job because now I can do things one time without getting things rejected. Again, it's not something that we read and study all the time, but it helps us in our career. Now, even myself, I end up going to conferences, and I sit there and spend 3 or 4 days talking about code. Now, if I just stayed in my status quo from where I was years ago, just working out in the field, I would have never been able to work my way up to where I'm at now. I'm not sure if I shared in the past, but I stay pretty busy myself. I work a full-time job, and I work for an engineering firm, and I'm an inspector, consultant, which if you'd have told me I'd have been doing that 20 years ago, there'd have been no way. If you'd have told me that 15 years ago, I would have said no way. Because I am a worker out in the field, and this is what I do. So, again, change. Now, sometimes change comes and negative things do happen. I shared a little bit about some of the tough times that I had in the past where I lost one of my businesses. Well, you have 2 choices there too. You have to follow these same steps. The first one, don't be negative. The second one, accept the challenge. Get the training that you need to be able to hit that challenge head first. And the third, what we've been talking about, look forward to the success. And that is really the goal when you get to your goal setting. What is going to make the difference? What is the positive thing that's going to come out of this change? Now, could it be a negative? Maybe. But you know what? Once you realize that it is not good for you, that's when you can say, okay, this is going to be the route that I'm going to take. You always want to keep surging forward. Because again, like I've stated over here, you get the Dead Sea syndrome, and you just get stuck into the status quo. And that's not a place you want to be. So be willing to move forward and to keep surging forward. You always moving forward. There's never a time where you want to sit there and just stay in one spot. Because if you're staying in one spot, you're not growing. You always want to look for the new opportunities. I've been with my company now for 8 years now. But for the past 20 years, even when I had my own business, I'm online and Indeed jobs and different things like that, and monster jobs, all of those. I have information in there where I'm constantly getting job information from all around the company. And do I read them all the time? Sometimes here and there. But you never know when that perfect opportunity is going to come up to me and I'm going to say, whoa, I need to make a decision. Maybe I should look into doing that. Maybe this is the right opportunity. Most of the time I don't, because I'm not a person to go skipping around from job to job. But you never know when that right one may come about. So you always want to keep your options open. Keeping your options open, that's something that's going to help you move forward. And don't be afraid to take risks. That's where the challenge comes into play. You know, America has done a bunch of wonderful things. We sent men to the moon. How do you do that without taking a risk? Even in your job every day, every time you're doing something, you take a risk. Even what I'm doing right here, doing the audio for the podcast. And I've just recently started doing the video. That's taking a risk. You're putting it out there. And I'm sure some guys will pick it apart and, but that's fine. And it's not going to jeopardize what I'm moving forward to. I don't want to hear other people's negativity. I'm going what I need to do and staying positive. And I'd love to hear you guys' feedback. I mean, if you want to leave a comment on YouTube, as this gets posted on YouTube, or just go to iTunes and leave me a review, or pass it along. I'm really trying to this is a lot of cool information that we can pass along to other ones that doesn't cost anything. I recently took a risk and I created a podcast, or not a podcast. I haven't created podcasts. I've been doing that since August now. But I went out and created a video simply on how to use a podcast, how to put it on your phone. I don't have my phone here in the room here. I was just looking for it. I don't have it in here because I don't like it to ring when I'm in the middle of doing my podcast here. But I created a simple podcast. If you want to know how to put it on your phone, just do an app. You can go to YouTube and look up Surging Forward, and you'll see that I created a little small 5-minute video on how to put the app on your phone. Okay? So there's things that you can do to help ease the decision making, and it helps change come more better. Come more better. That's not even a word. My English is not the best, guys. I am pretty good at motivating others, but I am not an English scholar. So if you've read some of my articles, please don't pick apart the punctuation too bad. But I just enjoy teaching others. So you want to learn how to, share with somebody else who doesn't know what a podcast is? Take them to YouTube and let them watch the video. It's real short, down to the point, very easy. And, whether you have iTunes is actually easier. I understand. I don't have an Apple myself, but I understand you just hit iTunes and, do a search for whatever podcast you want to do, and it's right there. But you could search in groups or, different types of topics you're interested in. And I would encourage you to fill your mind with the positive information. Look up motivation. Listen to, you don't have to buy all their products. It's not about that everybody gets caught up think they're trying to sell you something. Don't get caught up in that. It's not always about buying the product. You can listen to somebody forever. Now, the thing is, you never have to buy anything from them. But eventually, you start saying, wow, this is some cool stuff. Like I said, I really love the Eagles group I'm in for 48 Days to the Work You Love, Dan Miller. And I did buy and step up into the Eagles program. I get a lot of information from people I don't even know, and we're networking. So what are you doing to hang around people who are positive and successful? So let me review the 3 things again one more time. Number 1, when change comes and you hit that fork in the road, which you will hit, if you even run away from it, eventually you're going to hit a fork in the road. You should be creating your own forks in the road so that you can keep surging forward. But even if you don't, you're going to hit a fork. Should I stay where I'm at, or should I choose to take a risk? But don't be negative. Don't just stay where you're at. If you're not growing, you're not succeeding. You are going backwards. You're going to be crying about not making enough money. So the first thing is, don't be negative. The second thing is accept the challenge. What's going to be involved with this change? What am I going to have to learn? I'm going to have to spend some more time doing training. Maybe I'm not going to be able to go out hanging around and goofing around at the beach all the time. Maybe I can't go fishing as much. You're going to have to take a risk. It's not, the more risks that you take, the more fun you're going to be able to have down the future. But it's going to take a little bit of risk. And the third part is find out what the best way is for you to succeed. We all have our own different dreams. Do you even know what your dream is? What do you want to do? What is it that you want to inspire? And I would hope that it would be to serve others. Because serving others is what helps us always grow, succeed. If you're just serving yourself, nobody really cares. Because honestly, that's a little bit of conceit there. But if you're trying to help serve other people, you're going to find that those same people are going to be willing to help you. So again, if there's any way I can help you, please let me know. I just helped a brother the other day. He was trying to get his license, and I walked through him how to fill the application out. I went through the whole thing with him. Okay, and he's all excited about getting it. That's a great thing, to go take your test and get your license. Let me know what I can do with you, what I can do for you. Send me an email if you have a question on something, or you'd like me to talk about a topic on the podcast. If you want to share a success story, if you want to share an issue, or you got something that you want to talk about, if you have a company you want to promote, you want to talk about your company, send me an email to Dave@surgingforwardpodcast.com. I'm not sorry, not podcast. Dave@surgingforward.com. That's simply, all you have to do is just surgingforward.com, and it's just Dave. If you want to listen to the podcast, it's at surgingforwardpodcast.com. You can see all the past episodes. We're up to 42. If you're looking for training and you need we offer all kinds of training on our website now, and I do want to mention that. Just go to surgingforward.com. That's SURGING forward, FORWARD.com. And that's all one word. And so you can go there, and if you want to get your contractor's license, if you're looking to go into business for yourself, we have a lot of nationwide courses that we've hooked up with another company that provides a lot of the courses there. And so I'm not designing a whole lot of them anymore. This way, this is how I'm surging forward. And I'm hoping it's going to free me up some time to create some other leadership courses that I'm trying to get out there for some of you guys that have been requesting it. And believe me, I'm working on it. I'd like to figure out a way to get more time, actually. But that's a whole nother story. But again, check us out at surgingforward.com. And hey, check out the video online for YouTube and on how to create a podcast. I thought it was kind of ironic. I'd love to hear your views about it. Just share it with your friends that don't know what a podcast is. I'm trying to spread the word. We're actually in a couple states nationwide now, because I can kind of monitor and see where the information's coming from. I'd like to be at least in every single state. So if you're on Facebook, share me on Facebook. Share my videos on Facebook. Check me out on Facebook. We're at Surging Forward on Facebook. Feel free to check out the page, like the page. Share us online to the different groups you may be in, whether it's HVAC, plumbing, electrical, contracting, whatever the case may be. Feel free to share us, contact us. We'd love to help you get the information out also, whatever information you have. So again, I'm going to sign off right now, because otherwise I'll just start rambling on and on forever. But I want to thank you. I really want to thanks for the inspiration, because it's you guys and women who are keeping me surging forward by the influence that you've been giving me. And I thank you for the encouragement, and I'm going to continue to keep surging forward myself as I continue to help you to keep surging forward. So with that said, stay safe and keep surging forward. God bless. Have a great week.